You're watching WRKM Channel 22, number one in the region. The following WRKM broadcasts for mature audiences only. So if you're watching this amongst normies, cut that out. Turn your phone away. Put your headphones in. You don't want your girlfriend hearing this episode. I don't think you wanted her hearing last episode, to be honest with you. But this episode, I don't think particularly is bad. Could be. We never know until we record it. That's the spontaneity part. What are we talking about tonight? Law enforcement, both robotic and human. White nationalist fight clubs. They exist. And the Dalai Lama's a sick freak. All that and probably much more depending on what tangents we go on. Because it is Wednesday evening. We got pushed back due to some schedule changes at WRKM. But nonetheless, let's have the talks we can have when the sun is up. Good evening. I'm Ralphie Martinez, and this will end in darkness. The world is changing around us every week, it seems. How prepared are we for these changes? I'm just the guy documenting it for when aliens arrive and they are able to play YouTube for some reason, or they find my hard drive and they plug that into their computer system and it brings up all these video files. They can go, hey, was that what the 21st century was like? That's not good. No wonder they're not around anymore. Or maybe, if we're lucky, after the nuclear fallout, people find my hard drives and they start using it for entertainment purposes. Like kind of like the game Fallout. They play all those old recordings. Maybe they'll play old podcasts. Remember the good times? But were they the good times? Will certainly be better than the Desert Fallout times. But maybe we're on our way there. New York took a bold step. It's always my city fucking up everything else. Fucking up everything for everyone else. It's what we're good at. We can never just chill the fuck out. It's always, what's next? What's next? What's next are Robocops. This news comes to us from Channel 2. I'll make sure to jump in there because I don't want to get sued. But we will play the latest report.
Robots will now take their place beside the city's men and women in blue.
CBS 2 political reporter Marsha Kramer shows us the mayor says he is combing the world for the latest technology to put the NYPD at the forefront of fighting crime.
Whenever the words forefront and NYPD and fighting crime all put together, I get a little nervous. I've seen how the NYPD chooses to fight crime. Not always the best. Are there good cops? Yes, we're not all cops are bad here. We know some solid ones. But the history of the NYPD has always been a little sketchy. So when you say we're giving them more things, more technology, what will they do with that technology is the question. Let us find out.
From a galaxy far away, or at least Times Square, the NYPD enters the 21st century with crime-fighting robots to patrol subway stations or the crossroads of the world. Not only does this robot sound an alarm, but it can also send messages. Yes, it can really talk.
So snitch bots. They're not really able to arrest people, but they are able to snitch on people. That's nice.
Either to people who need help or to the bad guys.
Hello, Mayor Adams. We are here to get stuff done.
But that's not all. There's also a star chase system that avoids dangerous car chases by attaching a GPS tag either by mounted or handheld launchers.
His gun, that yellow gun he's got that shoots off those tracker tags, looks exactly like Batman's from he uses it in Dark Knight, right? When he wants to blow up the windows, and fucking the Hong Kong sequence that I can never get through on rewatch because it's kind of boring. And they usually play Dark Knight around 1 p.m. on TNT because it's going to end by 5.
And a robotic device called a DigiDog, which is designed to assist the NYPD in investigating high-risk or hazardous incidents.
We want the public to know that the use of these technologies will be transparent, consistent, and always done in collaboration with the people that we serve.
Transparent, they say. You can barely get body cams on actual officers for that to be transparent. But we will be transparent with the robot dogs. You know, police and dogs don't have the best history. I believe they used them quite often during the civil rights movement to bite protesters. What will these DigiDogs do? Shoot lasers at them? Electrocute some people? Good to know they got the new technology. They're able to update the authoritarianism.
The commissioner responding to intense community backlash the first time the NYPD tried to use the futuristic DigiDog during the de Blasio administration. Some described it as a manifestation of overly aggressive police tactics used in poor communities.
I believe that technology is here. We cannot be afraid of it. And as the commissioner stated, transparency is the key.
A number of groups attacked the city's latest foray into the 21st century, including Communities United for Police Reform, which said, quote, "We need to invest in housing, education, mental health care, and community programs that will keep us safe, not investment in new and expensive technologies to criminalize us further."
Maybe we should invest in societies. Maybe. Or we could just police them. That's much more effective and fun. Reinvigorating neighborhoods, using that money to make lives better is not fun. But spending money on cool fucking robots, way better. I just wonder, when will the NYPD get Gundams? When will they take it that far? Exoskeletons. Now, are these robots programmed for racism? Because certainly, if they're going to be working for the NYPD, they should be programmed for racism. And how will they know how to dole it out correctly? So it's just enough for a jury to go, maybe it's not racism. But what if these robots are so smart? They find a much more efficient way to be racist towards the everyday New Yorker, while also being robot police dogs. The 21st century is here, whether you like it or not. And granted, as a Puerto Rican, it does very little for me to be supportive. But fuck it, you know? We were always heading here anyway. The robots were always going to take over. Let's let them rule the streets. Let's let them take care of everything else. What would you rather? Would you rather be racially profiled by a person or a robot? At least a robot's adorable. Police officer, not so much. DigiDogs, they're called DigiDogs. If you're a Digimon fan like me, you're kind of confused because you are certain that there's a copyright issue here. But I am willing to let my cops evolve to that next level, to take their service to the next level. They are facing wild crime out there, mainly homeless junkies, who may have good knife skills. So maybe the robots are warranted. One of the robots had one of those, like, he had one of those eyes that were like, it's all one eye, but it's like curved, like all the evil robots have in sci-fi shows. So maybe they're like, hey, we get it, you know. Clearly, we're militarizing our people, our department. So we should have evil-looking robots. We don't want to be friends with these robots. No. The same way you cannot be friends with our cops. You must fear our cops and our robots at the same exact time. What's next, drones? I wouldn't mind drones. If I owned a drone, I'd be spying on people all the time. They probably already are spying on us. Certainly, once this episode airs, we will be in some trouble with a few groups of law enforcement officials who do not take kindly to calling them racist, though a lot of them are. Maybe they'll send the DigiDogs after us. I can hold my own, I think. Give me a baseball bat, I'll take it down. I just don't see why they need robots. They don't do much to begin with now, ever since everyone got mad at them for, you know, doing their job with prejudice. Now they feel a bit sensitive. So now we gave them robots so they could feel, you know, that they're supported. That's what it is. Instead of an emotional support animal, it's emotional support robot. Now they feel like they're doing something. Now it's a thing for them. De Blasio couldn't get this done, but Mayor Adams did. Feather in his cap, really, former cop too. He understands the plight of the NYPD. Shouldn't surprise us that he got the DigiDogs for them. He was a cop. I, for one, am excited for this new hellscape future we're entering, because I've always wanted an iRobot situation where groups of people and robots do battle, hopefully in Times Square. That's a really good place to have a battle like that. You don't want to do it anywhere else. Union Square, the problem with having a battle like that, Union Square, there's too many steps. You know, you can't do it in Bryant Park because the ice rink's there. Can't do it in Central Park because most people in New York are obese. So you don't want them running up hills. You want a flat land base in which to conduct this battle correctly. And it's a narrow space where a good kill box can be made for the robots. Not really for us. They're definitely taking us out. But you have to make sure to program the racism correctly. I do not want to be policed by robot cops who do not know how to dole out the prejudice correctly. That's the one thing about me. If you're going to be prejudiced towards me, do it right. Make it a gray area so I can't technically prove it. But then again, robots are smart. They'll figure some shit out. Humans are still trying to figure out how to be cruel to one another. But the robots have no emotion. They'll figure it out. Let's conclude the CBS report.
If we were not willing to move forward and use technology on how to properly keep cities safe, then you would not keep up with those who are doing harmful things to hurt New Yorkers.
The NYPD insisted the DigiDogs would never carry weapons or be used for surveillance. I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS 2 News.
Who does Mayor Adams think is out there committing crimes? Inner Gang? That's DC Comics reference. Most people have no idea who they are. The Royal Flush Gang? Another gang that no one knows anything about. What is it, like Dennis Leary and fucking Demolition Man? Do you think those are the people that are out there? I wish our hobos were the hobos from Demolition Man. They'd be more interesting and have good comedic timing. That's what's missing from these hobos. Good speeches about doing what you want to do and how you want to do it. You know, let's pull that scene up. I'm sorry. That's a good fucking scene. Dennis Leary, Demolition Man rant. There we go. 37 minutes of a great rant. Here we go. 37 seconds. It's been a day.
See, according to Cocteau's plan, I'm the enemy. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas drinking a banana broccoli shake singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer wiener. See...
And the wild part is he wasn't wrong in this rant. If you look at what happened during the pandemic, that's exactly what happened. We were all hanging out in our homes singing, I am an Oscar Mayer wiener. But see, if our hobos could be anything like Dennis Leary and Demolition Man, I understand the need for robots. They're smart. They're quick-witted. Do you think Dennis Leary wrote that rant for the movie, or was the rant written for him? You should do a Demolition Man episode, or a commentary track. You should, Bobby, just me and you. Watching Demolition Man and enjoying it for the classic cinema it is. But none of our hobos are Dennis Leary. None of our criminals are technologically advanced. They're just figuring out credit card scams. Now, there's a new scam now where someone has the Square app on their phone and they bump into you and if they get close to your wallet, it could tap to their phone and then take money away from you, which it leaves a trail. So I don't know how sophisticated that is, but it is pretty dope that they're finding new ways to rob, because we do believe that America is built on criminality, and criminality should always be evolving. So maybe we are technically supporting law enforcement evolving. It's a catch-22, but get the money while you can. But to be fair, what we do need is Dennis Leary's hobos. We need that team out there in the streets to justify the robots. I would kill for a hobo to be able to do a comedic set. Hobo comedians would be fantastic. At least they'd be providing something. Hobos now, they don't really have a lot of talent. Unfortunately, the theater kids are still being supported by their parents. But if their parents were good people, they would cut them off and give us the hobos we deserve in New York. Artistic hobos. Artisanal hobos. I'm just a man. I'm just a man with ideas. Not good ones. Spitball in the future. But Dennis Leary was right in that rant. If you really think about it, even then in Demolition Man, 98, they were talking about freedom of speech. They were talking about this idea of hyper control, what you're allowed to do. Even in that movie, they were talking about how you can't have sex anymore because of HIV and all these diseases that started coming out afterwards. So now sex was just a mental brain VR game, kind of. And you had to go to a lab to get a baby. And I think what Stallone tells her, what happened to the hunka chunka? It's who calls sex the hunka chunka? I've never called sex the hunka chunka, though. Some would say my style is hunka chunka. Just saying. Too much information for you, Bobby? Sorry. Didn't mean to disgust you with that. Didn't mean to disgust many of our viewers with that. But I just hope these robots just get it right. Mayor Adams says there won't be any weapons on them. That's a lie. That's a lie. They will get there. Because something will happen. Patriot acted up. Now you got robots. You can't tell me at home you're not at least a little bit interested in a robot apocalypse. You can't. We all are. Because deep down, we all want it to end. It's kind of like my favorite lyric in Matchbox 20's 3 AM. If it's all going to end, then it might as well be my fault. And it is our fault. Because we create a horrible society. Ever since I got this iPhone, I have not learned how to deal with these notifications. You know what I mean? I'm doing my best here. But even when I turn things off, They turn back on. Yes, I sold out. I have an iPhone now. Big news. Now everyone's going to fucking make fun of me for abandoning Android. I did it. We have to all abandon Android at some point. The Apple will take care of us. The Apple is life. You ever seen that movie, The Apple? Where it's a musical movie made by Canon Films, and it's about how the Apple runs the entertainment industry in the future and corrupts this young girl, and they control everything. Well, fuck. That's not good. Do you think Apple will now compete with the robot dogs, with Boston Dynamics, and they'll make the iDog? That will be the cute version, the iDog, but it'll still spy on you. I think all robots should spy. What's the point of having them if not spying? They gotta record information. I want information. Like, if people told me my ChatGPT was giving the government my searches, I wouldn't mind it. I want them to know what I'm up to. I want them to know that I'm on to them. I'm doing the investigations. Speaking of investigations, huge investigation going on in Oklahoma. Oddly enough, with law enforcement there. Ooh. KOCO 5 in Oklahoma. Let's call it Coco. Damn, man, it must be cool to work for that network. I'm off the on Coco 5. Damn. Do you even get WRKM to change their name? No. We can't even get them to pay us. To Oklahoma we go, and Andy Weber.
Those recordings were captured by a McCurtain Gazette reporter. In it, you can hear the sheriff as well as a county commissioner talking. It was happening during a county commission meeting, actually after the meeting, and now state authorities are investigating, and the governor is calling for several resignations.
I know where two big deep holes are if you ever need them. I got an excavator. These are pre-dug.
The McCurtain Gazette says that is audio of McCurtain County Commissioner Mark Jennings and Sheriff Kevin Clardy talking about killing two of the paper's reporters. The paper is currently suing the county over an alleged Open Records Act violation.
To be fair, if law enforcement aren't trying to kill journalists, what are they there for? We let Saudi Arabia get away with it with Khashoggi. Clearly, it's government's job to kill journalists. Why are we surprised that a county commissioner, which I only know exists because of the movie Casino, very cinema podcast today. Why am I surprised the local county commissioner wants to get rid of some local journalists? Local journalists are very frustrating because they know the area and they can find things out very quickly. Thankfully, their news stories don't go anywhere. They stay within town or the adjacent towns, but it can be very frustrating if you're trying to run a corrupt government and journalists get in your way. Journalists to me were always the hall monitors in school. There were rats. There were snitches. Who needs that shit? I don't want to know what my government's up to. I just want to be part of whatever my government's up to. That's why I've always preached on this podcast publicly. You should have one persona, privately have a whole other, like Hillary Clinton did to her donors. Have two personas, a public and a private. See? There. I'm not wrong. Hillary Clinton said it, and she's always right. She's always right. Was she right with the Clinton kill list? I'm just asking questions. Just asking questions, allegedly, respectfully, honestly.
The threat seems to get more specific as Jennings talks with Sheriff's investigator Alicia Manning.
I've known 2 or 3 hitmen that were very quiet guys. Yeah. And would cut no mercy. Yeah. In Louisiana. Because of his.
So he's talking about getting hitmen to kill these journalists. And listen, he's a job creator. You know, he's looking at a situation where it's like, hey, these guys are a nuisance. I can't get rid of them. Let me outsource it. Let me give these guys a job, taking out these journalists. Now, granted, dirty work, wet work, as they would say in the business. But, you know, maybe keep your mouth shut. Maybe don't talk about things that are going on in there. But the problem is, I think it got a little bit racial here.
It's all mafia animals. Oh, yeah.
The conversation between the officials eventually became racist. Commissioner Jennings complaining to Sheriff Clardy about not being able to kill or beat black people.
If it was back in the day, you take a damn blackjack, whoop their and throw them in the cell, I'd run for sheriff. Yeah. Well, it's not like that no more. I know. We'll take them down here on Mud Creek and hang them up with the damn rope. But you can't do that. Think about it, they got more rights than we got.
The mayor of Idabel, which is the county seat for McCurtain County, Craig Young.
Okay. What they said wasn't funny. Okay, it wasn't, but it's how they expressed it. Like how angry they were that they weren't able to go out there and take care of black people the way they wanted to. Like I've always known there's a level of old white person who laments the good old days, who looks at his life and goes, what has happened? We were once in control of this society. Now those people are. And to hear them actually say, like, back in my day, you can go lynch a black person and that was totally fine. Back in my day, you can go find a Latino and stab them to death and that would be fine. And, I kind of understand how they feel. Now, hold on before you turn off the video now. I, too, have watched my world change around me. Gentrification's a bitch. And back in my day, you could rob a white person here and there, but you can't do that anymore now, can you? Because they run the society now. But that's still wrong. You should not do anything to anyone based on the color of their skin and their ethnic background, even if they're white. Because white people have rights too. That's reverse racism. I should be ashamed of myself, but I'm not. That's how it was back in the day, all right? Like, you walking down the street, being very white, we were very broke. That's not to say all white people have money. I know plenty of broke whites. I know a lot of broke whites, but you got robbed when you were in the hood. You couldn't be a certain shade being in the hood. But now, in McCurdy, Oklahoma, you can't be a black journalist. So maybe we could have a sit down, all of us together, and go, hey, all right, you missed the way things used to be. I missed the way things used to be. But both of those ways have to be over. Okay? We have to accept the terms we live in. My neighborhood's gone. My home is gone. We're occupied. It's fine. It was cool for a time, and we'll always have the good times. The old pictures. The old stories. But robbing the whites is bad. These guys who wanted to kill these black journalists, looking to go back to a time where you could lynch them and throw their bodies where no one could find them, that's bad. Do not do that. That's wrong. You shouldn't have missed that. You should be happy we don't do that anymore.
Joining the governor in calling for resignations. Governor Stitt saying there is no place for such hateful rhetoric in the state. Stitt called on OSBI to investigate to determine whether anything illegal happened. The McCurtain Gazette chose to release only portions of the recording, but reports that the entire recording was sent to the FBI and the Attorney General's office.
This is an ongoing investigation that we've been looking at for several days.
To me, it's like, how, I don't understand how backwards someone can be, right? And not just accept your time is over. Right? Because clearly in that town of Oklahoma, things have changed. The dynamics have changed in a much more progressive way. To just have those conversations openly. And that's the thing, we only found out about these conversations because they didn't know they were being recorded. But there's 3 people in there, 2 sheriffs, it seems, and 1 lady, all going, things were so much better when you could just be openly racist. And I feel a lot of times when people talk about wanting to take America backward, that's really what they're talking about. They just want to go back to a time where we could all be openly racist. Well, at least whites can be openly racist. Blacks and Latinos, everyone else, we couldn't be racist because we were the ones affected by the racism. Though, I still advocate robbing whites here and there. Not a call to action. After the last episode, not a call to action. But I always do enjoy hearing these old racists just be honest about it. See, that's the racism I kind of respect. Like, at least it's well, not in this case, really. But they're open about it enough to talk about it loudly. What I don't like is like the soft racism. Like, oh, you're from that neighborhood? It must have been really hard for you. It's like, yeah, it's fucking hard for a lot of people with no money, but I made it. I'm here. I do a podcast, so I didn't really make it, but I'm here. But it's kind of fascinating that this guy just openly admits, I know some hitmen. Like, you're a county commissioner knowing hitmen. And this is kind of the fun, I think, we don't get to have with small towns. Like, this sounds like a House of Cards scenario, but it's not really a House of Cards scenario because there's not that much at stake. Because, well, Kevin Spacey got to kill a journalist in House of Cards. So maybe he's been watching a few of those episodes and on the old rewatch and was like, idea. Though, it never made sense to me how he got away with that crime. It just never made sense to me. It was fucking obvious. Do you mean to tell me there were no other cameras that saw him going down there? There were no other cameras that saw him going down there. I don't write television programs. I watch them. But maybe he saw that and got inspired. Art inspiring reality? Maybe. But no one's really covering this story at a national level yet. And I hope they do. Because it does show that no matter how far we've come, this stuff is still out there in the small towns. And it's why local elections matter. It's why you should be reading your local paper. You should be watching your local news. You should be looking at who's running for what position, because these people could very well still be in there. You know, we get so caught up in the national picture of things. And 9 times out of 10, a national picture doesn't really affect you that much. Like, there's always that meme I love of a picture of a neighborhood or a picture of a block in the hood, and it's like, and he lists under different presidents how it's never changed. And that's the truth. In a lot of cases, it didn't matter who was president. Hood was still the hood. So for me, I think this is a good call to arms to start looking at your local papers, local candidates, who's running shit in your neck of the woods. What do they believe? Maybe you can secretly record them. Be a hero, be a spy. Should we start doing that? Could we be the investigative reporters of Ridgewood and Bushwick and just like start catching guys like a Project Veritas situation? I wouldn't mind it. We'd be killed instantly though. New York politics is a little different. Everyone's got connections everywhere. Like there was a guy who was running for mayor not too long ago. And I don't even know if we can say this because this is like inside info, but I won't say the candidate's name, but we had it on good authority that the mafia had approached this dude and they were like, hey, drop out of the race. We know you've been cheating on your wife. Here's all these pictures and all that. And this was a dude that was on the come up too. It looked like he had a good chance of at least getting a good percentage of votes. And they came to him and let him know what it was. Now, if you do your research, you might be able to point out who that is, but I'm not going to say who it was. And I'm not going to say who the crime family was. But that was inside info we got that we couldn't report. But now we're far away from it. We can report that. Are we leaks now? Are we WikiLeaks? See how nervous I got there? Because anytime politics and the mob get together, it's JFK up in this bitch. But get involved in local elections. I guess that's why I took away from it. You know, Louisiana hitmen are into voodoo and stuff, and they're very spiritual about it. And they'll probably cut long monologues about like life and death. They'll sound like Russ Cole and True Detective. Time's a flat circle. Who needs that shit, you know? And if you're in Oklahoma, going to Louisiana, I mean, St. Louis, you can just go there. Plenty of hitmen there. Plenty of mob families in St. Louis. Kansas City? But Louisiana, I mean, not that I want to disparage the mafia of Louisiana. I don't know what good work they're doing down there or bad work. If you are a member of the Louisiana family, hit us up. Give us some info. Let us know why you should respect your rep. Between wanting to take down journalists and robot digidogs, it is a high time to be a law enforcement official. The thing about racism is, though, I've always felt that if you are going to be racist, you better be immaculate. You better be beautiful and powerful. Because if you're not, then I can't respect your racism. You know better than me. Apparently, a few neo-Nazis have felt that way. A dude named, is it Rondo? Let me pull up his name. Robert Rondo, 32-year-old YouTube or TikTok influencer, is now running around, not just doing fitness, eating raw meat, telling people how to be more masculine and to live better lives and fat shame people. He's now using fat shaming and fight clubbing to make white nationalist groups, which, to be fair, if Hitler looked at white nationalists today, I don't think he would think of them as the Ubermensch. I don't think he'd be satisfied. I don't think he'd be proud. Not that he should be a terrible man, but if he was to be evil, should he not have an army that looks sufficiently evil instead of like blubbering idiots? And that's the problem. To be a racist, that means you think you're superior. But if you and I weigh the same and we are both fat, then you have no right to be racist towards me. You're in the same boat I am. We make the same amount of money. In most cases, I make more money than most of the guys who are racist towards me. You can't box outside your weight class, baby. That's what I've learned. Citizen app has just let me know there are white nationalists in my city. No, that would have been great. No, it's just a collision on Harvest Avenue. Don't even live there. That's Staten Island. Thanks, citizen. But oddly enough, Staten Island probably has some white nationalists. So maybe it was a white nationalist getting into a car crash. But I think this is good, because if we are going to battle racism, I want to beat it at its best. I don't want to have to beat down Bubba from the gas station. If we are going to stop the white nationalists, I want them at their prime. I want it to be a real battle. Now, I don't plan to lose any weight in the battle for racial equality. I will still be this size. We can send in other people to fight on my behalf. Much more in shape Puerto Ricans can go fight the white nationalists who are in these fight clubs. And listen, it's something they can do. They're beating each other up, so they're softening each other up for us. You know what I mean? Let them keep going to these fight clubs. Eventually it'll turn homoerotic. They'll be obsessed with each other. And they'll long for each other's approval, like the real Fight Club. That's the part of that movie most guys don't pick up on. But the smart ones do. Police are getting out the house before they weren't getting out the house. Before they were just watching YouTube videos. And that one Ku Klux Klan documentary from the History Channel that they play every year. But it's well made. Have to be honest, I was always excited when it came on. It was well made documentary. And I like knowing about my enemies. So apparently in these fight clubs, they find disaffected white men youth. And they go, okay, let's start with the fight club aspect. Let's fat shame them. which that's kind of not fun anymore because I like to fat shame while being fat. I don't want to have anything in common with white nationalists. Apparently I do now. That's what's going to get us canceled. That me and the white nationalists fat shame people. Some people are just too fat. I'm sorry. If you're like 500 pounds, what are you doing? What are you doing? Maybe you should join a white nationalist fight club. At least they're getting them into shape. So it's something positive to go along with the hate. And that's the thing, like hate can be a powerful motivator. You know, if you hate yourself, you can sometimes will yourself to be better. That's what most movies are about. We're talking about movies a lot this episode. I like it. It shows we haven't been outside in a while, but sometimes hate can bring out the best in you. And if I am going to defeat white nationalists, I want the best, man. I'm like Goku, all right? Goku, every time an alien showed up to Earth, he could have beat him in the first form, but no. He had to wait for the third and fourth final form to then go in for the kill because he likes a challenge. It's why he's not the most interesting character to me, because there's challenges in life that you have to overcome, fine. But if you choose to do them at the risk of the entire planet, you're an asshole. That's just my thinking of it. But I know we're going to beat the white nationalists because there's more of us than them now. Unless they start getting the white liberals to join, which, to be fair, I don't think it's going to be that hard. When the eventual race war starts, I don't think it's going to be very hard to convince white liberals to jump to the other side. They'll know what's going on. And they'll go, wait, are we being erased? Kinda. Or you can be allies. Benjamin Franklin was an ally. I learned that this week. He was one of the very few founding fathers who were like, slavery is bad. I wonder how the white nationalists feel about that. Probably not good. But if they are starting fight clubs, that means we got to start fight clubs. Even though one would say, if you went to a New York City high school, you did go to a fight club and you are entitled to compensation. But I'm happy they're doing it. Get in shape. I want all the smoke. I can take a few of them. I studied jiu-jitsu for a while. I'm not afraid of white nationalist fight clubs. Do it. Do it. Now, apparently they start off really small and get into like philosophy and working out. And then they make one racial joke. And if they feel the guy took that joke well, they up the ante. Which, don't all friend groups operate like that? Like, I have a multi-ethnic friend group and we're always making the racial jokes. You always slip one by and see how they feel. Then you go, oh wait, you can take a joke. Let's keep it going. I still gotta get used to this iPhone, man. I still gotta get used to this iPhone. I'm just gonna turn it off. People want to contact me at the weirdest times. Why? I'm a nobody, but not to the white nationalists though. If they're watching this, they're like, that Puerto Rican challenged us. Game on. And it is game on, bro. I'm ready to go. All right. You let me know the date and I'll start working out for it, dog. You know, screw that. I know I said earlier, I'm in now. I'm down to fight white nationalists, dog. Only because if I die doing it, I will be more famous. And granted, I won't be able to podcast anymore, but all the old episodes will now be worth something. So whoever inherits my estate can get those sweet YouTube red dollars. And that's what I really want in the end. For my family to be able to make money off the content I made, even if it's after I'm gone. You know the guy who wrote Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? No one read those books when he was alive. He dies, books are a major success. How unfucking fortunate. Like, granted, yeah, he had to share his art with the world, but he doesn't even know that. Moral victories are not victories. But In this case, I'm willing to accept the moral victory, fighting a horde of white nationalist Fight Club members. Because surely, if there's more than one, I'm not going to win. If they jump me 5 at a time, there's only but so much jujitsu you can do before you get taken down. But I'm taking one of them with me. Tell you that now. Taking at least one. And I'm a dirty fighter too. So this is not going to be on the up and up. The thing is, I feel like somebody watched The Northman and went, that's what we got to do. That's what's missing from the white nationalist movement. Things like The Northman. Now, when you watch The Northman, it's kind of great. More movies this episode. I love The Northman. Why? Because it kind of shows you that these Nordics were wild. Like, look at these retards. Can't say the word retard. Take that back. Roll it back. Damn it. I spent 70 episodes not saying it. Now it slips out. But the best part about The Northman is you get to see how wild they were, how stupid they were, how they believed in some wild shit. There's a part in a movie where they use psychedelic mushrooms to, I guess, make the entire township hallucinate while they kill them, and they think they're being attacked by demons. Like, you see? They believe dumb stuff too. It wasn't just us with the fucking human sacrifices and shit. They were doing stuff. They were burning people in houses. We were throwing them into temples. Incas, what up? Everyone was a savage back in the day. But I feel like the white nationalists watched Northmen and went, that's where we gotta go. Instead of sacrificing each other, they fat shame each other, which is rough. Because, you know, a lot of those white nationalists are very sensitive. I mean, they can barely stand the fact that black people breathe. Now you're going to fat shame them on top of it? No good for them. No good for them. It's taking away one of my favorite tactics in weight loss. I actually fat shamed someone into losing weight. A friend of mine back in college, I shamed him every day. Then he went to the gym and now he looks a lot better now. Now that tactic doesn't work on me. I have a strong brain and a strong sense of delusion. So you can't beat this. I'm delusional. I am impenetrable. But that's what's going to help me win in a fight with a white nationalist. I'm like Goonies, dog. Never say die until one of them eventually catches me off guard and then chokes me to death. Or hits me with the old American History X curb stop. They're always the one talking about how masculinity is dying. They're like, maybe on my one hand, I could point like 5 or 4 black dudes or 5 or 4 Latinos who say masculinity is dying. But the white nationalists, they don't even have the coolest tattoos though. No, they lost the tattoo game. Because when your only main tattoo is the swastika, you run out of designs at that point. You can't, black tattoos were always better. Latino tattoos were always better because we have an art form. The Aryans, they stick, really biblical, while we have a bit more smoother lines. Because we're not bound by racism, we get influenced by other art. Latinos made Mother Mary look cool. That's a fact. No one has designed biblical characters the way we have. We are the Jack Kirby of religious deities. Think about how dope the Greek gods would look if a Latino street artist made them. I'm putting it up in Midjourney. We'll have it up on the page later. It's kind of fly. T-shirt idea. Remember that. T-shirt idea. Even though AI art, I don't know if you can sell it, but we will find out. Because we need to make money around here. But we have the better tattoos. And then Goonies never say attitude. Never say die attitude. They can't beat us. Though one would say white nationalists understand violence in a way that most don't. Because, they're still lizard brain people. But we'll outsmart them with our technology. And yes, they own most of the guns in America, so a civil war is kind of out of the question now, isn't it? Unless. See, one thing I learned about the North recently is we have more motorcycle gangs. So if we let our motorcycle gangs run wild, we can beat the South again. Do you think you could be a white nationalist, Bobby? No? Yeah. You couldn't beat anybody. I can't imagine you winning a fight. Every fight I imagine you having, you lose. Handedly. You have no shot. None. In fact, if the race war broke out tomorrow, you should probably end it because there's no way you're defending you or your family. No. You're toast. You don't make it to the first 5 minutes. I have at least an hour if I can get out the city. If I can make it to Canada, I think I'll be fine. That's a long trip. And I have some skills you don't have. I have some jujitsu ability that will keep me alive. Not to throw my entire history out there. Some firearm experience. But I can make it. I couldn't protect my family, though. I could only really protect me. So I had to rely on my brother for some help. And I don't know what his ability is just yet. I haven't tested it. We'll find out when he comes back for the summer. Imagine that. I just start running drills. If the white nationals attack today, what are you going to do? That traumatize him for life. Everywhere he goes, my brother would just jump at me, pretending to be a white nationalist. What are you going to do? Like, I'm like fucking Dennis Hopper in Speed. I'm a white nationalist trying to take you down. What do you do? What do you do? You know, it's like, leave that poor kid alone. He's just trying to enjoy his summer. A lot of movie references this week. I'm not proud of it. But the movie Speed is great. Do you think Dennis Hopper in Speed was a white nationalist? No. I don't remember him saying anything racial in Speed. I don't know if I remember Dennis Hopper saying anything racial. There's probably a clip out there of him saying some wild shit that hasn't been dug up yet. Because we all respect the Hop. Gotta respect the Hop. One of the greatest villains of all time, really. But he would have made a great white nationalist, though. Like in a movie, he would have nailed it. Ed Norton was a pretty convincing white nationalist. That's why I can't watch Moonrise Kingdom. Like, I can't watch him be so defenseless. Like, dude, no. I saw you ripped with swastika tattoos. There's no way you're reverting back. And that was post Fight Club. But I think Fight Club kind of works because he's he becomes a chiseled man of marble. But American History X, he starts that way. But you see, the modern white nationalist looks nothing like that now. No, they're all fat slobs and pathetic. So maybe it's time. Maybe it's time, they fixed their brand up and decided, hey, if we're truly going to be the face of racism, let's do it right. Because we're winning right now. There had never been more beautiful Latinos in, movies, TV. There have never been more beautiful black people in entertainment. We're winning. Okay? We're winning the image war. Everyone wants to do what we want to do. So keep up, white nationalists. We're going to win. And when the fight starts, we send Michael B. Jordan to face one of theirs. He's got the boxing experience. See how I'm not even mentioning real athletes? Because I don't even want to get our athletes hurt because we'll still need sports leagues after the war is over. But we need to send the actors. They want to be activists. They want to be more than just an actor. Go fight the war. Hand to hand. Imagine that. Imagine if that's Creed 4. Him fighting a white nationalist. Now we're fucking talking. Who plays the white nationalist? Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling versus Michael B. Jordan in a fucking Creed 4 where he's a white nationalist. That's what I'm talking about. Because they didn't really jump into that with Drago. Even though I don't think white nationalism was part of Rocky 4. But they certainly killed Apollo Creed. Like, if he dies, he dies. Like, that's a very racist thing to say, I think, after you knock out a black man in the ring. But Creed 4, Michael B. Jordan fighting a white nationalist, the theaters will be packed. And there will be a divided audience, I feel. I think they will be quite a divided audience in some parts of this country. But there's money to be made. Listen, Jonathan Majors is out. We lost him because he's beating women. Which, come on, man. I believed in you. Maybe Ray was right about him all those episodes ago. Not necessarily that he was an abuser, but he looked like a blobfish. And after putting side-by-side pictures, he does look like a blobfish. Can't fight that now. Since he's getting canceled anyway, let's just dump on him. Creed 4. Creed versus white nationalist. Ryan Gosling, man. Imagine a ripped up Ryan Gosling with Nazi tattoos. That can work. Even though I think the boxing commission probably wouldn't let him compete. So he would have to have like those hidden tattoos, like the 88, standing for like the H. Heil Hitler. Like he'll have to have that. So like the movie can touch on it, but not touch on it too much. Or he's like completely alt-right and like listens to Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson's in his corner. We've been dunking on Jordan Peterson a bit. Kind of feel bad because he's gonna get sensitive and cry about it. Him and get Jordan Peterson out here. Gavin McGinnis fucking is in the corner of Ryan Gosling as he fights for the white nationalism in Creed 4. It's fucking horrible, but it would work. A Gavin McGinnis kind of character that could work too. Yeah, you can have him as the corner man, but I'm just trying to think, who do you cast in that? 'Cause you need someone who's a bit older, who can still, be reasonably fit, and then you can buy. That's the problem. We've gotten rid of so many of our older actors so quickly that it's kind of hard to remember who actually still works. Oh, dude, no. Brendan Fraser as Gavin McGinnis, dude. Brendan Fraser as Gavin McGinnis in the corner of Ryan Gosling, who's a white supremacist, trying to fight in Creed 4. And Creed's fighting for more than just like the championship. It's about the soul of America. That works for me. Listen, Rocky 4 is about us fighting the commies. Now we're fighting racism in Creed 4. That's not bad. Parallels. The commies, they did do ethnic genocide. So it's amazing how they just stumble over that in Rocky 4. But it's a different time then. Speaking of a different time, lastly tonight, the Dalai Lama tried to get a kid to suck his tongue. You've probably heard about this already enough times. The only thing I will say is this. It's not a defense of the Dalai Lama. It's not a defense. But I'm sure the Lama looked around at the other religions and said, well, if they don't face ridicule for molesting children, why should I? And that's why I'm hoping the Dalai Lama is the first. And was it just a chain reaction of taking down religious institutions for their pedophilia? We can only hope. I doubt it'll happen. The Catholic Church has enough money to just shrug that off. They have the small GDP of a small nation. Can't stop the Vatican. Apparently it's very beautiful. Built on the blood of pedophilia. But the Dalai Lama was, having a laugh and just doing what all religious deities, what would we call them, religious leaders do. He wasn't doing anything outside the ordinary. But I don't get the idea of having a kid suck your tongue. That's just, it's so blatant. Does he want to get caught? Because I did read something where he said he thought he'd be the last Dalai Lama because he felt like the Dalai Lama position had outlived its usefulness. So maybe this is his way of tanking a whole He's a fucking sleeper cell, dude. Think about it. He said he thought he'd be the last Dalai Lama. That means he's had it in his mind. I'm the one to bring this all down. And that's why he's doing it. He's trying to create enough controversy to take down the whole system. He's a fucking sleeper cell. Now I'm kind of into it. Not saying the kid should have done it, but I see what you're doing, Lama. What you're doing. You're trying to stop the overreach of religion on small nations like Tibet. I'm with it now. I'm not with it, but I'm not saying the kid should have sucked his tongue. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I understand what the Lama's up to. It's deeper than you think. He said he'd be the last one. And he'd been very, I believe, non-committal about choosing the next Lama. Because you have to choose who you get reincarnated into. A little weird. I'm still not entirely sure how any of that works, but it's a tank job. The Dallas Mavericks just got fined for it. Let's fine the Dalai Lama for tanking. Hit him with a fine, but let him finish the job. You know what I mean? Let's start inspiring him to do some other dumb stuff. Maybe, we catch him with prostitutes or something. Just age-appropriate prostitutes. He went for pedophilia really early. So it kind of limits the amount of things you can do to tear down a religion. So, and looking at the other religions, it doesn't work. So let's get the Dalai Lama some prostitutes. Let's get him on meth. Let's get him to co-sign some things, some genocides, just be like, yeah, it's not that bad. The Lama clearly wants to damage the brand. Let's damage the brand. And we'll be here as consultants. I'm free at this point. I have nothing else going on. I can dedicate myself to destroying the Buddhist religion if you like, Mr. Lama. It's clearly you're trying to. I'm in. I couldn't destroy Catholicism as best as I tried while being an altar server and doing all the sacraments, thinking I would infiltrate in and destroy it all, but I'm actually what Catholics want. It's kind of, they would kill for me to go back to church, but I'm not gonna. They can't get me. Sunday school's out forever. But I like what the Lama's up to. I don't like the fact he's asking children to suck his tongue, but I get what he's up to. I got my eyes on you, Lama. Any final words, Bobby? No? Great. Would you have would you have sucked the Dalai Lama's tongue? Oh yeah. Bobby's shaking his head no, but I know he would have. Oh, you would have enjoyed the idea that anyone wanted you to do anything to them. You are so starved of love. I see it in your eyes every day. You would have sucked his tongue. I wouldn't. Depends on how much I'm getting paid, really. I'm in the middle of a desperate time. He would have to have paid me something on the back end. Like, okay, I'll suck this tongue. Okay. But number one, he wouldn't ask me because I'm 35. So I'm kind of over the age limit for it. But secondly, we're talking millions of dollars here. I got to do that publicly. That clip's going to live on forever. That poor kid's got to live with that forever. What does he tell his parents? What does his parents tell their parents? What's he going to tell his kids? What are they supposed to do? Tell him, no, he's the Dalai Lama. I thought I was going to reach enlightenment. I thought this was like a lesson. I thought he was like a demented Yoda trying to teach me something outside my normal bounds. See, the Lama apologized, but if he was smart, he should have leaned in. I was trying to teach him something deep. I was trying to teach him that even the darkest traumas can come from a smiling face. And he would carry out the rest of his life, knowing the true essence of life, that life comes at you with the sun, but it gets you in the night. I don't know, man. I'm not a Dalai Lama. I could have been. Think about it. I could have been a great Dalai Lama. I'm at peace with myself, a little too much at peace with myself. But if the Lama was smart, he would have leaned into it and further tanked the religion. I like it. It's a good old classic tank job. Not many others appreciate it, which I get. False child, so you know, can't just be doing that, you know. Just and you know, but he's a sleeper cell. It just makes sense after hearing that comment where he thought he'd be the last Dalai Lama. I get it. I see what's happening. It's a long-term play. Do you think the New York Robocops would have stopped them? Like if they had seen an image of this young boy sucking the Dalai Lama's tongue, would they have stopped him? Or would they went, that's some of that ethnic shit, we don't understand it. Zzz, zzz, zzz. That's weird. Hindu stuff. We will not get involved, you know, because they're so racist. They wouldn't even get the race right. People in McCurtain County, well, I wonder how they responded to it. Those sheriffs are probably like, I missed back in the day. We can get those perverts. Had they focused less on racism, they could find the perverts in McCurtain County. Because you know, in a place like McCurtain County, Oklahoma, there's perverts. They're in their high schools, coaching a football team, possibly the softball team. That's how those stories usually go. Maybe the white nationalists saw the Dalai Lama asking his kid to suck his tongue and they went, no more. These people, these non-white people have taken it too far. To be honest, I think a white nationalist will take any excuse to be racist. Oh, it's raining outside? Damn Jews. I'm telling you. It's snowing outside? Oh, Storm from X-Men did it. That's how being a white nationalist works. And that's why Dalai Lama can't be doing stuff like this. We can't be having this kind of embarrassing stuff happen within ethnic cultures because it makes us look bad to the white nationalists, the people we're trying to convince to stop being white nationalists. You know? How are you supposed to convince them we're asking kids to suck tongues? I never seen a Puerto Rican do that. No, Puerto Ricans just get pregnant in their teenage years. I can't help it. I'm Puerto Rican. We know our own. But then again, do I know anything? Do you know anything? No, Bobby, you don't. Does anyone know anything? Probably not. There's one thing we do know. Possibly. Maybe. We'll see. I think we all know how this one is going to end.